Hey everyone, it's me and Lauryn, and today we'll be talking about the possibilities of an enhanced games, which would allow for the use of performance-enhancing drugs in competition sports.
So to start off, recently in headlines, the founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel, has announced his decision to invest in a new league of sports, one where the usage of performance-enhancing drugs is permitted and encouraged. Performance-enhancing drug usage in competition sports have been prevalent throughout sports history, and in 1998, following the Tour de France, a foundation against performance-enhancing drugs, the World Anti-Doping Agency, was established against the usage of performance-enhancing drugs.
Also, just wanted to mention something I thought was interesting, is that although WADA was established in 1998, many sports and leagues such as baseball, football, and boxing have already banned performance-enhancing drugs in the late 80s to early 90s. But WADA specifically introduced a more rigorous screening process, which would apply to those participating in the Olympic events specifically.
The WADA has set 3 conditions in which 2 of the 3 must be satisfied to class a substance as a performance-enhancing drugs, 1 being if they enhance performance, 2 being if they represent a health risk, and 3 being if they violate the spirit of the sport. The WADA also has extremely rigorous tests and procedures that Olympians must go through to be classified as able to compete. Olympians have to submit their everyday whereabouts, including if they've been traveling or not, and they must be available for a set 60-minute time period daily to allot for random drug testing. If there are 3 failures even to just show up, this is a violation and it leads to an ineligibility to compete in sanctioned events for up to 2 years. The WADA has set some boundaries in place in order to minimize the usage of performance-enhancing drugs. The announcement of the Enhanced Games called into play an entirely new league of sports, and we surveyed the media to see the public's view on the usage of performance-enhancing drugs in competition sports shortly following Peter Thiel's announcement that he was backing these games.
Throughout our survey on the media, a variety of mixed opinions were uncovered. Some, like Joe Papliano, I think that's how you pronounce it, via an article of Barstool Sports, introduced the excitement and wonder that came after the announcement of Peter Thiel's investment in the Enhanced Games. Performance-enhancing drugs have been somewhat taboo in the past due to their prohibition. And to see a new league where free usage is permitted would be incredible to see what the human body can accomplish. But also many, like Twitter user @JoeKania3, call into the danger of these free usage games. He questions just what are the short and long-term health implications of free performance-enhancing drug usage on competing athletes.
In this podcast, we will provide information on the health implications of performance-enhancing drug usage, survey our James Madison University peers for their opinions, share our opinions, and introduce some topics to be considered for change on this subject.
For background, we've researched several scholarly articles that highlight both the physical implications of the performance-enhancing drug usage and the psychological effects. We first will take a look at the physical implications of performance-enhancing drug usage.
Firstly, one danger of performance-enhancing drugs is that 89.1% of muscle-building supplements have been found to not be pure and have been tampered with. Some supplements have been found to contain synthetic steroids and harmful heavy metals, which can lead to both bacterial and fungal contaminations. If the substance is to be found pure and unadulterated, it can still have negative effects on the cardiovascular system. Not only are there directly observable conditions like the alteration of the myocardium, vasculature, and metabolism, but performance-enhancing drugs can also push the user's physiological limits and induce arrhythmias.
A couple more physical conditions have been caused by performance-enhancing drug usage, like thromboembolic events, myocardial infarction, stroke, hypertension, cardiomyopathy, dyslipidemia, cardiac fibrosis, and hyper- or hypoglycemia.
Moving on to psychological impacts, it is namely noticeable that the usage of performance-enhancing drugs brings upon a breeding ground for negative energy. Performance-enhancing drug usage has brought on a general distrust of other competing athletes, and if user is not caught, it introduces an overloading mindset in which the athlete feels invincible.
Some clinical psychological diagnoses observed are depression, anxiety, psychosis, and aggression. From an anatomical view, performance-enhancing drugs can alter the neurotransmitter pathways of the brain, and more specifically, steroids can alter both serotonin and dopamine neurotransmitter pathways. Now that we've covered the researched health implications of performance-enhancing drug use, we will move on to general survey of our campus community, thoughts and opinions.
In our survey of the James Madison University campus, we questioned 30 students, 70% of which students favored the usage of performance-enhancing drugs and 30% disagreed with the usage of performance-enhancing drugs. Quotes from the students in the opposition mainly concerned the health implications and general fairness of the usage of performance-enhancing drugs, while quotes from the students in favor were generally in response to the announcement of the enhanced games and called bodily autonomy into question. All right, now that we've spoken on some of the opinions found of JMU's community on the matter, we will now share our own personal opinions on this topic of performance-enhancing drug usage in competition sports.
We actually have differing stances on this topic, which we feel demonstrates how the enhanced games have brought an entirely new viewpoint and argument on the topic of performance-enhancing drugs. First, I'll let Lauryn share her point of view.
I personally am against the usage of performance-enhancing drugs in competition sports, even in light of the enhanced games. I understand that bodily autonomy is at play, but I believe some users will overdo it and push themselves beyond the limits of their bodies. I think the announcement of these games is exciting, but with the permission of completely free usage, the short-term and long-term effects will be more prevalent and harmful. I also fear that some of those who will participate will end up regretting their decision if they face harmful interactions at some point in their life. I personally could be swayed into changing my opinion given some rules and regulations are set into place in the enhanced games. I think that there needs to be a limit to how many performance-enhancing drugs can be taken. I think each participant needs to go through a rigorous course or training program that highlights the potential implications of usage, and I think each athlete needs to log which drugs they choose to take and meet with a doctor to go over these decisions.
As we mentioned, we do have different opinions on this matter, so I personally support the idea of enhanced games. I feel that enhanced games would bring a new excitement to sports and produce lots of entertaining games and matches for viewers and those participating. Imagine the number of world records that could be broken. This fact itself gets me so amped. Also, at the end of the day, if all parties are aware of the performance-enhancing drugs are in use, I see no issue. I also believe that athletes have the right to use what they want when it comes to what they put in their bodies. Everyone is an adult here, and if they decide they want to elevate their game with performance-enhancing drugs in a league where it's allowed, who am I to stop them? Now, I do see that there could be issues with overuse of certain drugs in the chase of competing better than all the rest, which could lead to serious medical complications, which is a fully rational concern. So although I do support the idea of enhanced games, I do believe that some sort of rules or medical oversight needs to be put in place to prevent the overuse of drugs, which could result in serious medical complications in athletes. Because athlete safety has to be the top priority, especially when PEDs are in play.
As I said earlier, along with Aidan, we do believe that some rules and regulations need to be put in place in the enhanced games to help ensure the safety of the athletes participating. I think the enhanced games, while I don't exactly agree with them, could help deter athletes from using performance-enhancing drugs in competition sports where they are strictly prohibited, as there is now a newfound outlet for them. I believe that implementing some guidelines could lead to a good middle ground for both those who favor performance-enhancing drug usage and those who oppose it.
Honestly, couldn't agree more. I see the potential for enhanced games along with many others, but wholeheartedly agree that rules would have to be discussed to make sure that athletes are not putting themselves in more danger for health complications than the danger that's already comes with certain performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, with all that being said, I think this is a good spot to end. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this matter and what we should talk about next time. Thanks for tuning in.